Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name's David Austin, and sitting across from me, looking like some chick right out of Yellowstone, my beautiful bride, Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin. And I gotta tell you, wow.
I have been watching a lot of Yellowstone.
You've got a moose on your coffee cup.
I've got a moose on my coffee cup. I've got my fry boots on, my fry belt.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't won a belt buckle at the rodeo yet.
Well, it's time to get on it. And as you found out from the show, that even a doofus can ride a bucking bronco if that's how he's made. Jimmy. All right, there you have it.
Yeah, we don't have time. We got to get into it.
This is not a program that's set up to review Western-themed television.
Oh.
Nay.
But I'd love to review the show.
This is a program that deals with business, customer service, sales, and personal successes and defeats. And that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
And The Session with Londa and David each week is brought to you by Sherwood Austin Growth Consultants. No job is too big. No business is too small. Londa Sherwood Austin at Sherwood Austin Growth Consultants can help turn your business around. If your business needs a boost, call today, 509-491-2663. That's 509-491-2663 for Sherwood Austin Growth Consultants. It's a great time to be in business. Be in business with us.
Oh.
There you go. That was the live commercial.
That sounded like a commercial.
That was a commercial.
Right before,
it wasn't like a commercial.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Right before we came to air, you were doing a fake commercial for home coffee.
That's exactly right. And later in the show, when the mood hits me, I may do a commercial for water and home coffee. Water and home coffee, which is also made with water.
Stay tuned. I know they're on the edge here. So we asked our listeners to send us questions, and boy, did they.
You know, this program, being a podcast, not an on-air broadcast,
but we're open to that.
Technologically, yes, we are, is a little hamstrung. And here's what I mean by that. We pre-record this. We don't do these live and live stream them on the interwebs. So it's very hard to have direct communication with the listeners.
Right.
And let me tell you something. According to Apple, we have a boatload of listeners. We are the 150th business podcast in the world, according to Apple. But what does it really mean? What does it really mean? And the answer is, I would like to have more direct communication with listeners. So you did a little experiment last week, and you on social media asked for people to reach out to us with questions and or show topics. And I have no idea what any of these are.
Right.
We're just going to talk about them in real time here on the show.
You love to be surprised with these things.
Surprise,
everybody. It's David Austin answering your questions.
Yeah.
I've got questions here from some of our listeners and viewers.
And no question is too big and no thought is too small.
There you go.
All right. Here we go.
I will start with this.
I'm very excited about this.
COVID. Let's talk about that and how it has effectively killed our lives. I'm quoting.
This is a quote. This is not an opinion of yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Effectively killing life that we know, but maybe pushing us toward the old way. I don't know exactly what they mean by old way. So this is our best interpretation of how to answer this question, and go.
Well, initially addressing the old way, about 90 years ago, the Spanish flu was a problem. 100 years ago, even. People wore face masks, cloth face masks that they made at home, and that was, according to the physicians of the day, the best way to stop yourself from coming in contact with the germs that spread Spanish flu. We're for sure doing that. That's the old way.
They also did bloodletting. Okay.
They did. Ahead. And, you know, you went to the barber for medical advice. So that's not the old way. But the moral of the story is, as things change, the more they stay the same. Airborne illnesses are slowed, at least to healthcare professionals with face coverings.
Well, I would say...
other than that, I don't know what old way we could be referring
I don't either,
to, because we're now all electronic.
More to the first part of the question.
Okay.
And knowing... I have the advantage of knowing who this is, but I told everyone
I have no idea.
We would keep everything anonymous.
Okay.
So knowing who this is, I would guess old way maybe means more like homesteading kind of an idea.
Okay. Like
and
we're,
if that's
like
what
we're
you
on
do,
Yellowstone.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do it. But I want to go back to COVID's killing life. And I think it's an important distinction, but you had a final thought about.
Well, I don't have a final thought.
Oh.
I have a beginning thought. So go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about.
Well, I just think first of all, we've covered that in several podcasts last year.
Yes.
So I would say go back and listen to our previous season, because we did talk a lot about how COVID is changing things. And so I would say a shift in mindset would probably be really helpful for this person, just based on the language. It's killing life that we know. Well, is it?
It's changing
or is
life
it
that we know?
changing life
Sure.
that we know? And do we need to pivot and adapt?
Right. Do you survive and thrive, or do you just make it by and live in a dark place?
Right.
You know, the Great Resignation is a result of COVID, and people are leaving their jobs because they deserve better. Because for a year and more, people have been able to work from home relatively successfly. A lot of people are hesitant to go back into the office. We've seen it with our own kids. For me, this is just for me, and we've talked about this on the air, COVID's been the best thing that's ever happened.
Right.
Because it has changed the face of real estate and lending. And what I mean by that is a lot more is done virtually now than ever before.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be sitting at my desk in Kennewick, Washington to do deals in Kennewick, Washington.
Right.
As a result of that, we've been able to buy a couple vacation homes. We've been able to be back and forth. And it has been awesome for me. So my perspective couldn't be more different than COVID is killing things.
Right.
COVID for sure killed things the way they were for me, and what a great afterlife.
Yeah, I think it's about sitting down with your people, and I mean the people closest to you, if you have a partner, children in the home or whatever, and especially a partner, you've got to sit with that partner and decide what you want your life to look like, and remember that you're not stuck.
Right.
Again, things that we've talked about. You are not stuck. In fact, I recently... I took my daughter, Ada, our daughter.
Because we're
Ada,
married now.
I know, but you said the other day, I said, oh, my girl. And you were like, she's my girl. And then we got in a fight. No, we didn't really. But anyway, I took her.
We did do some Greco-Roman wrestling over this subject.
I took her to the bookstore for her birthday. She loves books. And while she was perusing whatever books she was looking at, I walked through the business section, and I'm looking at all the book titles, and there were about 4 rows of books that I looked. I was just looking at the titles because I'm taking in information, you know.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, the trend right now in a book title is blah, 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 blah. Like there's a heading, like a major title and a subtitle, and as I'm reading those, I thought, I swear to God, I'm going to write a book titled, You're Not Stuck. You don't want to hear it, but someone needs to tell you.
That's a great book title.
And I would say that to this person. You are not stuck where you are.
Okay.
I'd say it to anybody who's saying, this pandemic's killing me.
Right.
Okay, well, if it's killing you, then for sure, pull up stakes and get someplace else where it's not killing you. And that may be a different job. That may be a different city.
Yes.
That may be, yeah, but that takes money. Okay, well, then make it happen.
Right.
Like,
sell some stuff. You
Yeah,
were
I
telling
mean-
a story yesterday to my brother Nathan and his wife about how you had a financial crisis, and instead of giving up and not paying your bills, you started selling things in your home. And I got to tell you, if you're emotionally connected to your things, then don't complain about your situation.
right.
If you need money, make money. Money is in your house.
And if you don't know...
There's always money in the banana stand.
Right. If you don't know how to make money quickly, call me. I'll you know what I mean? If you're stuck in a situation like that, I'll give you 15 minutes of my time. And let me tell you, in 15 minutes, you will have a game plan.
I beg to differ. You will not give someone 15 minutes. This is a professional business at Sherwood Austin Growth Consultants.
I didn't say I wouldn't charge them for it. I'm just saying.
Londa at 509-491-2663. 509-491-2663. She will not give you 15 minutes.
Well, I will, and then I'll give you a bill.
Yes.
I'm just saying in a short amount of time,
right.
There are solutions. And so...
And it's simple. And unless you're willing to step away from your personal experiences, it may look hard and insurmountable.
Right.
Sell your grandmother's piano. You know what I mean? If you need money, sell your grandmother's piano.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of that. And what I learned is to not be attached to things.
That's right. And if you are attached to things and you're not going to sell your grandmother's piano, then go get a different job.
Yeah, do something. Now, having said that, 1 or 2 podcasts ago, we did talk a little bit about how difficult it is for people right now. So I would say also go back and listen to that podcast.
Sure.
Last week and the week before.
And mental health is no joke.
Right.
And if you are having any kind of depression or seasonal effectiveness disorder, find help. Get help.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go.
There you go, and there it is.
So that is a complete answering of the first question.
Yeah.
I don't think there's more to say.
You ready for the next one?
I am.
Okay. Do you think, this is from a business owner.
Okay.
Do you think a reward program will help a business? For example, points per visit or dollar amount spent, like buy 9, get 1 free, or spend $20, get X. Do those work?
And
are they helpful?
And the answer is, of course, incentivization works. Like, let's say you're selling cookies.
Let's say, just hypothetically.
Maybe you sell 9 and give the 10th one away. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But specifically, if you sell cookies... I think that sounds like a great idea.
I think it's a beautiful idea. And I would further say, not only incentivize your customers to buy more in that way, but incentivize them to refer people to you.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would be doing, this is an old thing, but it still works. And another reason why I still love paper business cards.
Okay.
I know y'all love your digital business cards, but I'm telling you, there's so many advantages to paper business cards. But you got to get them made with the back of it needs to be white blank.
Okay.
Because you want to write on it. So one thing in one job that I had, if I would write like my initials on the back of the card, if they brought the card in and gave it, or not my initials, but like your customer, like I'd give you 5 business cards and I'd put your initials on them. Mm-hmm. And once those 5 came back to me from customers as the business owner, then you, as the initial customer I gave those to, will get a free something or another.
I think that's a great idea.
So you're referring people to that business.
And the only caveat I will have to, does an incentive-based system work? Mm-hmm. Make sure in your industry an incentive is legal.
That's a really good point.
In mortgages, I cannot give a realtor something of value for a referral.
Right.
A lot of lenders give coffee cards to realtors. Well, the federal government says that's giving something of value.
Right.
If I allowed you, on behalf of me and Sherwood Austin Growth Consultants, to give free coaching to realtors that I work with, I would be in breach of that same thing, because that is something of value.
Right.
So make sure if you want to have an incentive-based sales program that it is legal and admissible.
Right.
If you sell cookies, I don't think there's anybody saying you can't give a 10th one. But if you sell liquor, there may be something saying you can't give a 10th one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There
totally.
you go. There you go.
Yep. I think they definitely work, and they can work for most any industry.
Right.
And if you don't know how to figure out how to what kind of incentive program would work for your industry, hire me. Inside an hour, I'll have you a whole system created.
There you go.
It's just how my brain works.
And, you know, if you're in a business where incentives aren't really allowed, but you give excellent service and you work toward making the experience good for everyone, it's not always an achievable goal, but it mostly is.
Right.
Then you get repeat business just the same.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there you go.
Okay, next question. Kind of a piggyback question. Would an incentive program or finder's fee, that kind of thing, be a good way to train your employees for good customer service?
Now, that's a great question. And the answer is, do you incentivize your employees to take more personal ownership in the business? If you haven't already figured out the way you should do that in every business that there is, you need to call 491-2663 because Londa will show you how to keep your customers motivated and interested. Does that mean they'll have the same level of motivation as you, the owner? Of course not. And
no,
it'd
your
be crazy
employees,
to think
and
so.
let's just talk about that for 1 second.
Yep.
You cannot, okay, if you are, let me look right here. If you're expecting your employees to care about your company as much as you care about your company, you've lost your mind.
Crazy.
It's never going to happen.
That's exactly right.
It can't happen. It won't happen. You should not expect it to happen.
Right. But
however,
you want your employees
incentivize your employees. And in fact, there's a million ways to do it. But one way that we incentivize some of our employees is monthly contests.
Right.
And
monthly contests at the salon, the Bloom Room Salon in Kennewick, Washington.
Right.
You did a bingo contest last month. Tell us a little bit about the bingo contest.
January was a bingo contest for the stylists at the salon, and I made it. I used some online resources to give me some ideas, and just created a bingo chart in Canva. It's not hard. There's templates already there.
B9. That's my favorite number. B9.
Yes. And I worked with our operating partner to put in into the bingo things that would cover some basics that needed to be covered from her perspective, working hand in hand with the stylist.
Sure.
Also some things that would help them grow their business and track their business. And then, there were rewards. If you get, a bingo, this is the reward. And if you get 2 bingos, you get this, and 3 bingos. And if you fill the whole sheet, then this is and so some of those incentives, we don't do bingo every month. The incentives will be different every month, but, sometimes it's time with people can be an incentive. Sometimes it's for me, it's easy because sometimes I incentivize with coaching, right? Sometimes I incentivize with them getting access to me, time. But sometimes you want to incentivize with tools of the trade, right? Or training. So I could see in the future some of the incentive being like paid training, or we bring in a trainer for them, or, here's new tools for your thing. Here's upgraded XYZ for your business, any of those kind of things. But you want to, when you're looking at those incentives, make sure that you're speaking to each personality type.
Sure. And we've done entire shows about personality types.
Yep.
We've done multiple episodes about personality types.
4 basic motivations for people are money, fun, time, peace.
Okay, there you go.
So
learn how to use those things based on the personality types around you to help
figure out
motivate
who's on your team and
people.
how to motivate them. And you might have to incentivize everybody differently.
It's interesting
on what motivates them.
It's interesting that we're being asked this question because a lot of business people that I've spoken to in the last 6 months specifically have been talking about how to keep employees and how to attract employees, not how to better the existing staff. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of conversation going on in business today and in politics about how do we keep an engaged workforce and then get them to come work with us. So many restaurant owners that I know have signs that say, please be patient with our staff.
Yeah.
We are short-staffed.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I don't know of another time in recent memory where there has been such a staffing shortage. But I got to tell you, it's all interrelated.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If people have a sense of ownership, they don't leave a company. If people have a sense that they are appreciated, very few people are not motivated by appreciation. There are some that don't care. They're there to do their thing. They may work so that they can afford what they love outside of work and have no interest in being awarded or appreciated. Well, most people aren't that way. Most people do want to feel appreciated. And I got to tell you, if you can make your employees feel connected, appreciated, and enjoyed, they're probably not looking to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I would say to any employer right now, you need to be studying the recent information on what employees are demanding in the workplace.
For sure.
You need to be studying that and figuring out how to wrap your program around what they are wanting because they will leave right now.
Yeah.
And I've heard some employers complain about this, that, oh, well, they're just entitled. Well, okay, but if you want employees, then maybe you better speak to that for a while.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, and maybe change your mindset about that they're not entitled. We have lacked so much care in the last 2 years as a culture because of the pandemic. People are looking to be cared for.
Say that a different way so I understand it. Pretend I'm in 6th grade and I don't know what you're talking about.
Make people feel more important. Make people know they are important. Make them feel seen and heard and like they matter, just like what you were saying. Like you're interested in how the last 2 years has affected them. All bets are off. You can't expect people to come in and show up the same way today that they came in and showed up 2 years ago. You cannot. And if you think you can, you've got to pivot.
Right.
You just have to. So the best way to find out what your employees want is to survey them anonymously.
Oh, not talk to them face to face. You know what?
No.
We were having a conversation with a guy who runs a business.
I want to finish that thought.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you can do this through MailChimp email surveys. They're completely anonymous. You can do it, handwritten. I mean, you can do it however you want to. But definitely ask them what they want. If you were the boss, what would this place look like? What are we missing? I mean, you better get real humble as an employer right now.
Right.
And let everybody take a shot at you if they need to. And then you as the employer can sift through the stuff and figure out what's valuable and what's not, what you can do, what you can't.
You and I were hanging out with a business owner, I'm going to say 3 months ago, and he was talking to us about his staff and how when he talks to his staff directly, they're like, everything's awesome.
Right.
Everything's great. And he is kind of an imposing personal figure and very aggressive and let's get this done. Let's be number
very
one.
Type A, high D personality type.
Yes. And I had lunch with him 2 weeks ago and he said, you know what? I thought about what we talked about at lunch and we are looking at things differently within the office about our staff. And I got to tell you, things are very different because we are seeing things differently too. And this is the best quote from it. I always can deal with honesty. I can't deal with somebody blowing hot air up my skirt and telling me everything's great. If somebody looks at me and says, hey, I don't like the cut of your jib. Okay, we can work with that. What do you need from me then?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I got to tell you, it was a great conversation.
That is great. And I'm glad they're doing things differently, because that person needs to know, okay, they're like me. I'll use myself as an example. I love when people shoot me straight.
Right.
Just tell me.
Yep.
What I have to realize is most people can't.
Right.
They're terrified.
That's right.
Especially now.
Well,
everything seems unstable for most people right now.
it's like you, when you look at me and ask me a direct question, you scare me sometimes.
Good.
And I don't tell the truth.
Perfect.
That's a joke. You don't scare me at all. That was my ex-wife.
That was not nice. That is unkind. And
It was
that
a
is not
joke.
the way we
It
do
was just a
things.
joke.
Okay.
It was just a joke. And you're right. We only do kind things. She was scary.
You are terrible.
It's funny. It's just a joke.
Okay, next question.
Horrifying. No, I'm kidding. It's just a joke.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. How about this?
Okay.
Believing in yourself enough to push and to have breakthrough, and not qualifying your success and making yourself small. And let me tell you, for instance, if someone says to me, let's say I hit a big goal.
Okay.
Right? End of year, I hit a big goal, and I share that with somebody, and they say, wow, that's incredible. Congratulations. Doesn't surprise me at all. You're very impressive. And then I go, well, and I think of ways to dismiss it.
Right. You do that when you're complimented. I do the exact same thing. When somebody compliments me, I don't know what to say.
Right.
You know?
Right.
What I always make a joke out of it when I'm complimented.
Right.
You know?
So the question here is a little bit about that. How do you stop making yourself small? How do you stop qualifying your success with, well, it's to be expected because X, Y, Z, and the setup, just believing in yourself enough to push through and to succeed?
It has to do, your mindset has a lot to do with how the people you surround yourself with speak to you. You need to surround yourself with people. If you feel like you have to minimize your success to fit in, you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Surround yourself with people who are supportive and excited.
Right.
I went to a conference several years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago, and the guy said, yeah, you can have a sip of that. The guy said,
thank you.
You're 7 times more likely to be successful if you're surrounded by peers with an interest in your own success. And that's absolutely true. So what I would say, the old adage, a rising tide lifts all boats, is absolutely true. So if you feel like you have to minimize your successes to fit in, find a different circle. Find a circle that wants to hear about your successes. Find a circle that wants to cheer you on.
Right. I would say, I would agree with that. When I start hanging out with people and I realize that every time I share a really cool idea or a success, they poo-poo it, they minimize it, they have to one-up me, whatever. I stop hanging out with those kind of people.
Right.
Like listen, I keep my circle tight and I keep it small, and I'm very careful about who gets into that circle.
Right.
And that's part of the reason. The other thing that I would say to this is there's probably, if you struggle with that like I do, there's probably some core beliefs that you have about yourself. And I would say that, frankly, therapy would probably be a really good idea.
That's true. I think that's very good. Do you want another sip of this real quick?
No, that's okay.
You sure you don't want another sip?
Yes, I'm sure.
Because this episode is brought to you by Home Coffee. If you enjoy coffee and you don't want to get on the road, how about some home coffee? Home coffee's easy to make right there in your kitchen. Home coffee, it goes down easy and it's good to the last drop. Home coffee.
Woo.
I told you I'd do a fake commercial about
I
home
like it.
coffee.
The home coffee fake commercial.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with home coffee. And to add to the mystique of our home coffee, we have a Philips Norelco machine that's not for shaving. It is a coffee machine, and it's like something out of Star Trek. You put your cup underneath the deal, You press the type of coffee. Do you want espresso? Do you want an Americano? What do you want? You want something fungo? I don't know.
Dancing clowns?
Whatever you want. You press that button. The thing starts to whiz and grind. And all of a sudden, boom, 2 perfect shots of espresso in your Americano. And it's ready to go.
Home coffee.
Home coffee. The way to go.
I love it. Well, we got that at the beginning of the pandemic.
That's exactly right.
And then we just replaced it.
And I don't know why we bought it in the first place. What were we doing where we thought we needed an espresso maker?
You wanted espresso.
Right.
And
you didn't want the work of the thing with the different foams and all the cups that you have to keep coming in.
I wanted it to be easy.
Yep.
And so, and the pandemic had just hit and we were home all the time. So we thought we deserve a $600 coffee maker.
Right. And its replacement was $500.
There you go. 2 years later.
Speaking of money, I did something yesterday that I feel bad about, and you don't think it was any big deal at all. We were looking at furniture, and we were at a store that involves rooms in your house that are not there forever. They are rooms to go. Okay, let's say it. We'll say the name, Rooms to Go. And our sales associate, an awesome young guy named Danielle.
Yes.
Danielle, super kid.
He did everything right.
He sure did.
He did a great job. Hustled.
You know what I like most about him? The hustle.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the first time I ever went to Les Schwab Tires, and the guy came running full speed to my car, and I'm like, what in the heck? And they all do it because that's their training.
Right.
He was so fun. He ran around that giant store, and he says to me at one point, okay, we're going across the store, so let's get our steps in.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
And I almost said to him, listen, we came from the gym, so simmer it down.
And we did. We did. I got to tell you, Red Laurel would love this kid Danielle at Rooms to Go because he was hustling and doing all the right stuff. And he found exactly what we were looking for. We bought it. Right. And then he said, you sure you don't want the service contract? You know, it's only $250. And I said, listen, I don't want it. And then he said, okay, well, I got to have my manager come out and check your order. And the manager came out to sell us, do the final close on the warranty. And I felt so bad after I said this, but I said...
We said no.
We said no.
Him. You said it twice. I said it twice.
And then he
kept
said...
going.
And, you know, you don't take no for an answer. You keep trying to sell. And he said, a little bit of money today will save you a lot of money in the future. And I said, let me stop you right there. A $1,000 chair is disposable to me. If something goes wrong, I don't need to tap into a $250 insurance policy. I'll just buy a new chair.
And then he said, well, okay. That was pretty clear.
Pretty clear. Nothing more to say. Thank you very much. And he went away, and we had a great experience. Anyway, I felt guilty saying that, you know, that's disposable to me. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's true.
Well, what you were thinking is we'd already told Danielle no twice. Then we told his manager no 4 more times. So we're up to 6 now. And you're still having to tell him no, and I'm about to get combative.
Right.
Like I'm about to throw fists because I get it 7 times, whatever. No.
Right.
And this is a good point, though, for people. Listen, you've got to be able to read your audience.
Right. Financial health, to me, is the most important thing. And if you have money in the bank, you're self-insured.
Right.
So you are okay if something goes terribly wrong.
Right.
A $1,000 chair is not something that's going to make me, lose my mind.
I don't know what they think we're doing. So this is what I said. I go, listen, we don't have any kids. We don't have any pets.
Right.
We're not going to be... Anyway. All right. You ready for the next question?
What if you sit down in the chair with a pen in your pocket? I'm not going to sit down in the chair with an open pen in my pocket. Okay, anyway, go on. Next question. We have time for one more, and we don't have time for all of one more if it's super complex.
We might have to do a little bit longer show then.
Go. We don't have to do all of them. We can do more next time.
The next question is interesting and on the surface does not seem like a question we would answer.
Okay, go.
We're going to hit on it.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to read it exactly as it was sent to me.
Okay.
Transgender teens, identifying actual phobia versus trendy wannabes, finding good counselors, etc., support versus enabling. That was the question. May I?
Well, sure. Yeah.
Our answer to that is we're not qualified in this arena.
Yes.
This is a business podcast primarily.
Right.
So I would say, and this person, I believe, is speaking about their own child when they ask this question. Love your child no matter who they are or where they are. And I will say, find some good therapists. Find a community for them to be a part of. Again, surround yourself with great people. And I will just say this. It is, in my own experience, a terrible thing to hate the body that you're living in.
Right.
So get that kid some help and love them. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Now I'm going to say some things about that. Okay. I don't understand the new conversation about gender roles and gender assignment versus sex and all that. I don't really understand it. Here's what I do understand. You need to be kind. So no matter how the person sees him or herself or their self or whatever language we're using now, be supportive of the people around you because you're not a bad person.
Right.
Always be kind. You don't have to understand what Amy Schneider, who just won 40 episodes of Jeopardy, is going through because she's the first transgender champion. You don't have to understand that to smile and say congratulations.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
We were watching that and I said, wow, what a brilliant human.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Smart.
That's exactly right. So the moral of the story is it doesn't matter what somebody else is going through unless you're a jerk. So don't be a jerk.
Yep.
Be kind to people that are going through something.
And everybody's going through something. Let's go to the next question.
I like that.
In a world where social media is so relevant.
In a world where social media
where
is so
should
relevant.
the line be when utilizing the platforms for business and personal, vulgar, meme sharing, overposting business, personal life updates, etc.? I find myself using close friends list a lot more with posting stories and constantly considering my future employer looking at my feed.
Oh, that's interesting.
For those of you who think millennials are idiots, this was from a millennial who clearly has a good head on their shoulder.
Okay, do you want my opinion?
Yeah, well, here's the question. In a world where social media is so relevant, where should the line be when utilizing the platforms?
That's a great question.
Absolutely.
And the real answer from my perspective, and I'm older, I'm from a different generation than a lot of people who are posting.
Right. You're about to be 50.
That's exactly right. I'm a consumer of all the goofy stuff that's on the internet. I like to see it. It's fun. Mm-hmm. I'm not a maker of the goofy stuff on the internet, right? Mm-hmm. There's not a podcast that somebody's going to go back and listen to and hear me say bad things about a different race or a different ethnic group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the way I live my life in my life is the way I live my life online. Kindness is the core to my, that's the center of my being. So I try to just do things kindly. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that you need to worry about how you're living online unless you're living poorly online. And there you have it. And there it is.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
And I have some things to say about this as well. So you are building a personal brand. Mm-hmm. Every one of us is.
That's right.
Whether you like that or not, whether you agree with it or not, if you're on social media at all, you're building a brand, period.
Yes.
So you must consider what that brand is saying to your quote audience.
Right.
Right? And I would say using the close list or close friends list, also a mistake.
Okay.
If you can't put it out to the general population, you shouldn't be putting it out to anyone.
Okay.
Because if you're afraid, well, this might come bite me in the butt later in my life if I put it out to the general populace, listen, don't be dumb. People turn, people change, If you don't want it out there, don't put it out there. If you are okay with limiting your reach by speaking your beliefs or your ideas that might be polarizing,
Right.
then do that.
That's exactly right.
If you're not okay and you want to be conscious of not limiting your reach, then don't be polarizing, you know?
I like that.
So just, I would say, be you as authentically as you can, and those who will be attracted to you will be attracted to you in your business, and those who aren't and can't won't, and they'll go someplace else. And the good news is there's plenty of business for all of us. So if they don't like me, they can go like somebody else. And
That's
you know,
right.
so there is a balance there. I don't want to purposefully offend anyone. Kindness is a motivator. But there are some things that I share about. I don't think anything about sharing things that have curse words in them. And I know that I have followers who don't like that.
I gotcha.
Okay. And I'm okay with that.
Well, and the reason I don't use a ton of profanity has nothing to do with my thoughts on profanity. It has to do with the fact that I was on the air as a professional broadcaster, and I got news for you. If you drop an F-bomb, you're going to get fined.
And I've never been on the air as a professional broadcaster, so I don't think anything of dropping an F-bomb on our podcast. But I think you've got to just consider it and realize that everything you put on social media can and will be used against you.
Okay.
It could be.
It's like an interview with the police.
It really is. And I think this person is extremely smart to think about. I always think about my future employer might be looking at this. You're damn right they are.
That's interesting. I guess you're right. You know, I'm Facebook friends with all of my past employers. Do you know what I mean?
Well, when I get a call from a client who, wants to work together,
Sure.
and they schedule a discovery call with me to see if we're a good fit, I always go and find them on social media and go through all their social media because I want to learn a little bit about who I'm going to be talking to. And that helps me do it. And I know employers do the same thing.
I like it. I think this has been very interesting. We have a lot more to discuss.
We do.
But we can't because I have a commitment to the listener to not go ridiculously long with the session with Londa and David. My name's David Austin, and I got to tell you, I love sitting here each and every week with my beautiful wife, Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin, to bring you this show, which is brought to you by Sherwood Austin Growth Consultants. No job is too big, no business is too small. If your business needs a boost, call today, 509-491-2663. That number again, 509-491-2663. You know what? Now that you know the number, text Londa at 509-491-2663 or drop an email at londa@sherwoodaustin.com. Again, I'm David Austin. That's Londa Sherwood Austin. And this has been The Session with Londa and David. We'll see you next week.